Now then, so this problem right here can directly take us into the reasons of yesterday. What would be the best way to solve this based on our discussions yesterday?
Substitution.
Why is that?
Because you have the x and the equation.
Well, let's go by the characteristics. Do I have a coefficient of 1?
Yes.
Yeah, I have a lot of them. I have a coefficient of 1 right here, coefficient of 1 right there, and a coefficient of 1 right here. So that fits. And what do I look for next? Anybody remember the second characteristic for substitution?
The y is by itself.
It doesn't have to just be y. It has to be a variable by itself. Correct? Variable by itself. And so therefore, the one that I would look for is the x is by itself, the y is by itself. Why would substituting this one be easier than substituting this one?
Because your x is already done. You just have to find y.
Well, and I also don't have a y over here to substitute it into, right? And so therefore, substitution is the easiest. Now, I asked you to do this one by graphing, so when you started this process before, graphing was the option, and I got a feeling that you asked me this question because could you graph x equals -3 in your calculator?
Well,
Those of you from last semester, anybody tell me why?
because it's a straight line.
It's a straight line, totally agree.
When you say straight line, it's already straight.
I mean,
That's pointless conversation, that doesn't need to happen. Okay, so why can't I put x equals -3 in my calculator?
it's undefined.
What's undefined?
The 0 that's in the line. Well,
There is something that's undefined.
there's
Sir?
There's no law.
Right, there's no y, so therefore something's messed up, but I can graph a y equals a number. So what was the issue here? We discussed this. This is called something. We talked about it pretty efficiently. There is something that's undefined. What is undefined in this equation? There it is. The slope is undefined because it's going to be a what kind of line?
a horizontal,
No,
vertical.
a vertical line. This is a vertical line because if the slope is undefined, that means that I have a number in my rise and a 0 in my run because I'm not going left or right at all if I'm going straight up. And any number divided by 0 is no, undefined. And since it's undefined, I can't graph it. I can graph it. I can't graph it in my calculator because your calculator is a function graphing calculator. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to graph it by hand. You can't use your calculator to do this one because it doesn't have that. So therefore, it doesn't have a graphing of a non-function capability. And so therefore, we need other means to be able to solve a problem, and we just said substitution would be the best. But you didn't know how to do it then. So let's do this here by hand a second. Okay? So I wouldn't even attempt graphing this one because it's a non-function. All right, so I'm going to graph the x equals -3. It's going to be a vertical line through here. Okay? This is my x equals -3 graph right there. And my y equals x plus 2. My plus 2 is my y-intercept right there. And it's going to be a slope of 1, 1, 1, 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1, down 1 over 1. So I intersected the line right there, correct? I'm glad we're going to get to see one like this because what does it look like the solution is? Almost. What does it look like the solution is? Is the solution right here? What does it look like that location is on a graph? No. -3. -1. I should know that it's going to be -3 based on the equation. I just didn't know what the y was. Okay? So no, you couldn't do that in your calculator and use the feature of intersect, but there is a way to do so with graphing. I would still use substitutions, the best method. Corey, you want this?